you're good? Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks for
Morning,
being here.
Stephanie.
Our service is going to be a little different because it's our annual meeting. And so we're going to kick it off with an opening prayer. So everyone just kind of get comfortable in your seat, wherever you are, and just relax and just letting go of everything that's happened up until this point. Let's just take 3 deep cleansing breaths in. So let's breathe in and let it go. Breathe in again. Let it go. And one more time in and letting it go. Just allowing ourselves to be in this place, in this perfect place. For right where we are, God is. For God is absolutely all that there is. And we are one with this power. And so we live from this knowingness of being in the oneness with spirit, of being just the one. And so as we dwell in this, we just allow ourselves to just get comfortable in it and enjoy the experience. And in the enjoying of the experience, we just know that we are enjoying this service today, that the service has everything that we need. It has everything that we want. It has everything that we desire. It is whole, perfect, and complete, just as we are whole, perfect, and complete. What needs to be said is said. What needs to be heard is heard. And all is divine and all is well. And so I'm celebrating each and every one of us here. I'm lifting us up, knowing that it's good and very good as I allow it to be. And so it's from this place of knowingness that I give thanks. I give thanks, I give thanks, I give thanks as I release my word and I let it be. And so it is.
So, welcome to everyone, and please join me for our opening song in this very room, which I have to dig out because it's in an unusual spot in the service underneath papers that are usually not where that one is. No, it's just, I had to dig it out. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. Oh, Spirit, sweet Spirit, is in this very room. In this very Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living is a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes in our lives. And we have our promise, which is to reveal, inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify your greatness. Please join me for our declaration, which we're going to do 3 times. Why not? To reveal, inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify your greatness. Oh, I'm sorry. We are doing the declaration
Okay,
3 times.
okay.
I just got to the promise statement on the paper. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. And finally, we are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. And I apologize, I'm used to a particular flow, and this is not that. So what we are going to do now is you are all here. And you are here. I'm going to make the jump because there's something that occurs for you being here. And we want to facilitate that. So today we are leaning into something called the Fear to Faith practice. And the Fear to Faith is up on the screen, and there's a copy of it on your
Kathy,
in your
hi.
paperwork.
You can see me, but I can only see yours too.
Yeah,
How are you?
I was on a Zoom and put it on mute.
Okay. So what I'm going to have us take a moment and consider some situation that brings you here. Now, it may be a situation where you're wanting more of something. It may be a situation where you'd like to have a transformation. So if you're already abundantly wealthy and you'd like to be more abundantly wealthy, then it might be more of that. If it's that you are looking for a fabulous partner to go through life with romantically, then it might be that. If it's that you want to find some shift in your livelihood, that you're doing what you do, but you'd like to feel more energy about it. You'd like to feel more enthusiasm about it. Let it be that. Just take a moment and consider a place where either you'd like more or some transformation. So I wanted us to start there. And with this Fear to Faith worksheet, you're going to notice it is not linear. You're not going to find 1, then 2, left to right. You're not going to find it up to down. It zigzags. And I was thinking it's a little bit like, do you remember when you were little kids and there used to be you would have a series of numbers and you would connect the dots between the numbers. And when you got the page, you might just see a whole bunch of dots and not really know what it was about. But the numbers gave you a sense of direction. And I hope that through this Fear to Faith process, you will have a greater sense of direction. So for starting with number 1, and that's rooted in what we just described, number 1 is in the bottom right corner of the box, and it's called oldness. So what has been going on? So if you haven't been in a romantic relationship, it's that I've been alone. Or if it's that your wealth isn't as much as you'd like, it might be my wealth isn't as much as I'd like. So think about the current situation. That which is you are open and receptive to changing or to expanding. And now, as you're in the midst of that situation, what emotions, what feelings come up? just notice the feelings. So after you notice the feelings, we're going to move, we're going to zigzag up, we're going to go up and over to the left side. Not it's really kind of left middle of the page. And we see on the page a little angel, and its name is Hope, and it's number 2. So what is the hope that you have in terms of this situation? And again, I gave some examples that you want more abundant wealth. That might be it, more abundance. It might be that romantic partnership. That might be the hope. It might be just ecstasy when I'm on my way to work. It might be ease when the day starts, rather than a sense of dread, that there's just a sense of ease and a sense of peace. What is the hope? And when you have your hope, when you have what you're looking for, which I hope you're able to find, because I hope I set you up to find it. Now we're going to go again, ziggy-zagging to the top, and we're going to identify a divine word related to this hope. So if it's wealth, it might be abundance. If it's a partnership, it might be love. If it's greater excitement about work, it might be joy, it might be peace, it might be ease. Find that word, find that name for the divine that captures the flavor of your hope. And when you've named your hope, when the divine reveals itself through that hope, we are going to confront with number 4, what it is, what's the fear that's been holding us back. Some of you have heard me tell a story about the monkey cage. And the way that they catch monkeys is that they put a banana in the cage, and the banana puts its little paw through the cage, and it grabs the banana, and then it can't get out because it won't let its hand go, won't let the banana go, and so the hand with the banana is too big to get out of the cage. So the fear is what we're holding on to. What is the nature of the fear? I gave my heart away before. Why would I fall in love again? I had a really great job, but I didn't get a great job after that. So I'm scared that I'll get another sucky job. What is the fear? I've lost everything already once, and I've gotten used to having nothing. I don't want to have anything for fear of losing it again. Be with the fear. Just give presence to the fear. Because when we're not conscious of it, we hold it in our tight little paw, and it doesn't let us get very far. We're like the monkey trapped in that cage. And I don't know about you, but I do not want to be picked up by monkey hunters because I'm too resistant to letting go of my fear. We live in a time where a lot of fear is being engendered. And it makes us much more vulnerable. So based on that fear, we're going to go up. We're still on the right side of the page, and you're going to see there's a block. And what's that false belief that we have held associated with that fear? And they give some examples of possible false beliefs. Could be lack, could be debt, could be conflict, limitation. It could be ignorance, could be death, rejection, chaos, judgment, dependency. How would we name that belief, that error that we have been believing in? And when you got your word of error, we're going to go across from the right side of the page to the left side of the page to the little hand that's a little fist, and we've got a word of resistance. What is it that we react? How do we react to our false belief? What do we do when our false belief comes up? And again, they give some examples. Do we become more controlling? Do we hide? Do we go around being angry all the time? Are we like clingy and over-attached? Do we flee, freeze, fight? Do we try to appease, make everything nice, even though we're not feeling nice? Do we whine? Do we withdraw into depression? Are we just confused? Everything's confusing. What is our reaction? What do we fall into? What habit of action do we fall into? Think of it as a behavior that you might do compulsively or repetitively. It'll be important because that's one of the key ones for coming up with the release of it. Do we get silent? Do we talk a lot? Do we explain ourselves? I'm gonna have us stop there. There is a number 8 for at number 7 for newness. What newness will we be? And I would say the newness is going to relate directly to number 3. That we are actually going to become embodiments of that divine presence. And can we forgive the person who's been doing number 6? So we've gotten stuck in a habit. Can we forgive ourselves? Or, because it's a habit, we might fall back into it. Can we fall back into it and then say, oh, look, there, I did it again. I forgive me. It worked for me when I was 16. I thought it would keep working. It's not the best solution. My 16-year-old me is not the best me that's available to me. What newness. So what I'm going to check is, do people have what their belief is, what their false belief? Do you have your number 5? Okay. And do you have your number 6? That belief, that need, that behavior, that action, that habitual thing. And then I'm going to assume, since we went through it and I didn't hear anybody pause, do you have your number 3? the divine presence.
That's the one at the top, right?
Yep, yeah.
Another one down there.
Yeah. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill in, I release my belief in, and this is called a posture prayer. So I release my belief in, like in my case, there's too much to do. I release my need to stay active all the time, as an example. And then I am grateful God is the ease that I am. So what we do is we release the belief. I release my belief in. I release my need to. We do that with our right hand. So releasing our belief with our left hand, releasing our need with our right hand. And then we bring both of our hands into our heart, and we're grateful that God is the peace. It might be ease, it might be love, it might be wholeness.
I just want to be clear, because are we mimicking the little Buddha?
Yeah.
Are we doing exact? So, because it looks like it's his right, it's right hand.
Well,
Right arm,
if you
so-
read it, it says it's the left. It's it's you're seeing the mirror.
Oh, okay. It's so light.
Yeah.
I can't see what it says.
Yeah, that's why I was saying it's, you know, so we start with
Okay,
our,
so we're mimicking.
we're mimicking it, that the belief is,
Got
the
it.
belief is this left. The need, the activity is the right.
Okay.
And then we bring it into ourselves here.
Oh, we're not going up? That's what-
I'm great. Well, he brings it, it comes in, it comes up and then in.
Okay.
So you're releasing, you're coming up,
I got it. Okay.
and then you're bringing it back home to your heart.
On board.
Okay.
Are we doing it together?
And we're going to do it together. We're going to, so I invite you to stand, because that gives you a little bit more room to be like all over the place. So I release my belief in too much to do. I release my need to stay busy all the time. I am grateful God is. And we're going to do that a couple more times, just so that you're present to it. I release my belief in. I believe my need to. I am grateful for the abundance that I am. So the only other thing that I would say about it is what the Fear to Faith people, Marcia Sutton and Lloyd Strom, proposed was to do this 70 times a day for 7 days. And the idea is that it doesn't, you know, so you're driving, you might be driving and your hands on the steering wheel. And so you don't have, obviously you're driving. I would not advise you to do the full body embodiment, because that would not be all that safe. You're at the grocery store. You can very easily just, you know, you're holding your basket. So there are ways to fit it into your day that do not have to be like big and bold, so that people come up to you and say, what are you doing? So as you're, you know, as you're walking along, yeah, you might walk along and you're like, what are you doing? I am releasing old stuff I don't need anymore, and I'm welcoming new stuff.
Nowadays, it doesn't matter.
It could be, you could actually, you know, you could have your headphones in, and people think you're just dancing to some piece. But the invitation is to try it and open, make yourself receptive to greater more of what you're wanting.
Are we doing it one more time? Said a couple more times.
Sure.
Which would have been 3. I'm very literal like you now. So,
Keeping us on your toes.
okay.
Okay. I release my belief in too much. I release my need to. I am grateful God is peace that I am. I release my belief in too much. I am grateful. My need to. I am grateful God is the peace that I am. And so it is.
Oh, yeah. You're getting a phone call. It's done.
Okay.
She always does that.
So here is the Free Talk song. Share it. I just want to, I'm looking to make sure that it's sharing the sound. Oh, okay, okay. Well, I just didn't want to have it not.
Running around fixing this and that, giving it up to God and then taking it back. Just release and let it go. You don't even have to think about it no more. Get out of the way, 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 get out the way, and let God do its thing. You look like the weight of the world's on your back. Just take a deep breath and cut yourself some slack. All that drama ain't good for you. You couldn't change what is if you wanted to. So get out of the way, 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 get out the way, let God do his thing. Woo! The sun's gonna shine and the river's gonna flow. The tide's gonna rise without your say-so. The universe is working and the good is flowing. You don't plant a seed, then dig it up and see if it's growing. Get out of the way, get out of the way, hey, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out the way, and let God do its thing.
All righty then. Good morning, Northern Lights. It's good to see everyone. And it's good to be here and be seen. And thank you, Reverend Michael and Reverend Vaughn, for opening the service, finding my song, and being the wonderful servant leaders that you are. So today my talks, the title was, I got it, oops, lost it. And the rest of the title is, but I found something new. And this month's topic is about going higher and growing deeper. So what we're doing is moving a little deeper into ourselves, moving away from just looking at things on a superficial level. So we have several things I'll be talking about today, a three-pronged approach. One is our worldview. The second is letting go of separation. And then the third is the S word, surrender. Many, many years ago, I had a real problem with that word. And now I'm a little more user-friendly around it, although I still have my moments. So going to the worldview and what we're talking about there, That is the picture of the world as we see it. And what's important here is, are we conscious or unconsciously being run by that view? And the view comes from everything, from our childhood, from experiences in the world, from our culture, from just what we watch on television. These views can come in, and we may be acting from them knowingly or unknowingly. Or we may accept them as the truth and appropriate when they may not always be. For example, my husband considers himself a country guy and me a city girl. And there is definitely some truth to that. Some of my cityfiedness comes from the fact that I have to lock all the doors at night. Yes, why would you not lock all the doors at night? My husband doesn't really think about it. I'm like, but somebody might come in, and he says, we're out in the country, nobody's coming in. People come in the country, they do. People wander around and come to your house in the country, but they don't do it like they did it in my neighborhood that I moved from. But I'm still going to lock the doors at night. Then there are other beliefs that we may have about who we are and how we are, like the Myers-Briggs extrovert and introvert. I'm an extrovert, I do this, this, and this. I'm an introvert, I do this, this, and this. And we freeze in those beliefs. We freeze in that perception of who we are and what our worldview is. Now, it may be true that one's an introvert, and like myself, I am a bit of an introvert, and somebody else may be an extrovert, but what does that mean? And how do we work with it? So I don't just say I'm an introvert, I don't like to do this, 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 and this, and so there it is. And I'm not going to do anything that would cause me to be extroverted. So there it is. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. You've all heard that. Well, there may be times, for example, I discovered that I've been a corporate trainer for years and years, and I thought probably most corporate trainers, people who led workshops, were extroverts. I was in one conference where we had about 30 people in the workshop. Half were extroverts and half were introverts. So introverts could step up to being extroverted when they needed to. But if we held on to, I'm an introvert and speaking in front of people scares me to death and I can never overcome it, then that's our experience. So in the process of looking at our worldviews, one, we need to look at our worldviews and look at what's driving us. What is driving that reaction? What is driving that perception? And is it still true? Is it appropriate in this moment? And best of all, how can whatever this is that's driving me, how can it be useful to the world? So instead of beating myself up on being an introvert, I could talk to other introverts about the experience of being introverts and how they overcome it or live through it. There are different ways we can handle these perspectives. I could also take a look and say, this is not working for the world and me and those around me. Maybe I could consider changing it. One of the things I heard Reverend Vaughn say as an example is not talking enough or talking too much. So I learned when I was a participant in a workshop, I was one of those, I have the answer, I want to say, I have an idea. And it dawned on me once when I was the person who was doing that too much. How's about I just sit back and give other people room to say, I have the idea. Another example of that is I do have lots of ideas, and I think my ideas are pretty good, but I also learned along the way to step back and let other folks come up with ideas. And I discovered other folks have really good ideas too. So before I just lay mine on because I think they're good, how about if I ask other people in the group that I may be working in what they think? So becoming more aware of our automatic worldview conditioning and asking ourselves, is this appropriate? Or do I need to change something? How is this impacting those around me? You've heard the expression, read the room. Read the room. Is this working or not working? And if it's not working, what do I do to change it for the highest good of all concerned? I have found in contemplating my worldviews, it helps to take a step back, to sit in the quiet, to be open. It's like the song says, get out the way and let God do its thing. Be open to other possibilities. And sometimes it's really hard to get beyond what we think, going back to I'm looking at the exercise here, what we need to release. Sometimes it's hard to recognize and accept what it is we need to release to have what it is that we want. So in this worldview that we have, all of this that we've experienced that creates who we are and who we think we are, going deeper is recognizing what those views are and the appropriateness of them, whether we can still keep them or we should throw them out. One last mention on this idea. I've talked to folks who have issues and they say, well, you know, when I was a child, my parents did this and I felt this way and this scared me and so on. And I remind them that when they were a child, it was appropriate to be afraid of some of those things. But now they're grown. They have more power. They have more control. They have more say-so in how their life is going to be. They don't have to be driven by these old experiences. It's like the tail wagging the dog. They don't have to allow that old stuff completely determine who and how they are. So the next topic is disidentification. Letting go of the I. And by that I mean the me-them separation. You walk into a room full of strangers and it's you and them. You go into a conference, you don't know anybody, here you are and there they are. And there's no we. When I go to my CASA conferences, CASA is court-appointed special advocates for children in foster care. I could walk in and look at all those people I don't know and say me, them, or I could say we all care about the children and start from there. And it gets me over my fear of being in a room full of strangers. And of course, what feeds that is a whole other story. But there is something that feeds that fear. And by being able to look at what I have in common with these folks makes a big difference. And in fact, recognizing that we're all people and we all have the same needs, even when I walk into conferences where I don't necessarily feel I have anything in common with these folks, recognizing that people, that any number of people are feeling the same way I'm feeling, that they walked into a room full of strangers, they don't know anybody, and they're not comfortable. And I found in talking to people and asking them how they feel and what they like and so on, we establish a bond. I have established a bond with folks because we're all like working on that separation, me, them thing. And by opening that conversation up, I close the gap between a me and them. The other thing about letting go of the I is acknowledging that we are not the boxes we check. Those boxes are not the whole of us. The mother, the aunt, the teacher, the designer, the musician, the cook, the cleaner, the fixer. We could check all of those boxes, but they're not the whole of us. We are, what is it? The whole is bigger than its parts. These are all parts, but they're not the whole of us. And the other piece of that not being the whole of us is when we stub our toe, make a mistake, do something we don't like, that is not the whole of us. We are bigger than our parts, and we're bigger than our parts as we acknowledge that there's a power that's bigger than the individual that is running through us, that is touching us, that is all around us. And that power is something that we can use. And then the final element to consider is the S word. I told you I did not like surrender. I remember when a boyfriend of mine said I needed to surrender. And I was like, surrender? He wanted me to surrender to him? And I thought, why would I do that? Surrender what and why? And it was just, but he was trying to get me to, I guess, be a little more facilitative or something. I don't really know. All I know is he said surrender and that was it. I wasn't going there. So I didn't even inquire what that looked like. My bad. But surrender is release the need to control. I may be the only one in the room who actually acknowledges that they need to control things. I never thought of myself as a controller, but somebody brought it up once and I contemplated it. And I realized that some of my behavior was controlling unintentionally. I didn't see myself as controlling. I thought I was helping. I thought I was bringing new ideas in and making sure they were getting done. I thought any number of things. I didn't think I'm trying to control things. But you can bet I could recognize it when somebody was trying to control me. So releasing the need to control people, circumstances, even ourselves. I was listening this morning to an audible book where someone was talking about feelings and the need to control feelings and how that didn't help us get through the feelings. It didn't help us resolve the feelings. We need to feel the feelings. I was telling someone who just lost a relative who felt badly about feeling. She says, this is not me. I'm not myself. I'm feeling all over the place. I'm just having feelings. And there was a lot of upset in the family. Well, of course, everybody was having feelings and she was having feelings. They lost somebody dear to them. Things were in chaos. Yeah, you're going to have feelings. Why can't you have them? She felt she shouldn't have them. She's better today. She says she's back to herself. Now, going back to what I said about boxes, she doesn't have a box for Susie being allowed to feel. She has Susie's in control. Susie's got the right answers. Susie makes things happen. She didn't have a box for Susie getting to feel. And we don't let people feel much. We don't want to be bothered. And we don't let ourselves go to the feeling place. Someone once told me that if she actually went to where it was that she was feeling and what she was feeling, she would crumble and die. It would just take her over. She'd be ineffective. She'd never come back to center. not the truth. But you can bet she won't be really in center until she acknowledges those feelings. So blindly releasing the need to control, the need to whatever it is. I'm not going to release my need to lock doors. Okay, I'm going to keep that one. But I am releasing my view that the world is a dangerous place. I'm letting go of that. I'm letting go of that. Because what I walk in the door with, the world is a dangerous place, is the experience I'll have. So allowing myself to see that the world is actually a place of love if you let it be, and allowing the stillness to speak, taking that time out, can help the surrender. When we do a science of mind treatment, the last step is I release and I let all of this go. We are releasing it into the power within and beyond that can do more than we in our little selves can do by ourselves. One last thing around releasing. I mentioned I'm a bit of an introvert, and I tend not to make the first step when I'm among strangers. But I was going into a restaurant yesterday, and it's in my favorite town here on the island, and there are not many people of color. Over 3 years, I've seen 7 Black folks and several Asians. So I'm walking into the restaurant, and there were these 2 young Black women sitting on the bench outside of the restaurant waiting to be called in. And they had braids, and they were made up, and they were cute as buttons. And it was clear they weren't from the island because it was Saturday and it was tourist day and there were people all over, and it was clear they weren't from the island. And as I walked by them, they both turned their heads and looked elsewhere. One looked to the left and the other looked to the right. And I was looking at them, and they were not going to look at me. So I bent down and I said, "Good morning." And both of their heads snapped to me and they said, "Good morning," with just the most cheerful, brightest smile. I stepped out of my comfort zone to say hello to them because it appeared to me that they expected me to ignore them. So they weren't going to put themselves in a situation where they could look and smile and I walked on by, because people do that. And their energy was so good and so positive. I was so glad I said good morning, even if they hadn't said good morning to me, which is hard to do when I have my face in theirs. At least I would have tried. So surrendering, releasing, and knowing that spirit's got it handled. And in these days and times, in conclusion, we have to bring our A game. We have to show up and show out. We have to stand in the philosophy we believe in. We can't stay on unconscious sleepwalk behavior. This is not The Matrix, the movie, for those who ever saw it. We can't rely on just ourselves. We have to open up. We have to be willing to let go of judgment and control and other things that don't necessarily fit the situation, and surrender to our higher selves and the intelligence and the information there. We need to close the gap between us and them and open ourselves to seeing what could unfold in a good and positive way. So being aware of our worldview, our way of being in the world, letting go of the we, they, I, them perspective, and surrendering to allowing spirit to move around and through us, and letting go of judgment and whatever it is that you're holding on to that's holding you back, letting that go will allow us to be in touch with the intelligence, the higher intelligence within us, and have a deeper understanding of ourselves. And so it is. And thank you.
Do you want me to? I'll unpin Pamela so that you can be seen.
Oh. So did we lose Phyllis?
Phyllis was never here,
Oh, she wasn't here.
Yeah.
Oh, so she's not.
so we did not lose her.
Oh, okay. I thought.
She was a.
Oh.
I'm just gonna pin it so that it's you.
Oh. Whoa, it's all of me. There's a lot of me. Well, thank you, Reverend Pamela. Yes. So let's just breathe in. Breathe in all that has been revealed. And just being in this place of knowing the allness of God, knowing the allness of Spirit, and knowing that we are one with Spirit. There is only the we. There is not the you and the me. It's the we. And so it's in this place of knowing that we're one with Spirit, one with all life, that we just embrace all that has been revealed to us today. Being mindful, being in the oneness, letting go of separation, letting go of all that is no longer serving, just releasing and letting go of the separation, letting go of all that we wrote down in our fear to faith exercise, just letting go of all that is holding us back from being our awesome, amazing selves. And so I'm giving thanks for this service. I'm giving thanks for all that has happened prior to and all that has happened from this moment on, knowing that it's whole, perfect, and complete as we are whole, perfect, and complete. And so it's in this place of knowing the wholeness, the perfection, the completeness, that I release this word to the perfect action of the law. I let it go, I let it be, and so it is.
Let me get the script ready here. So now we go into the business of the business. With the fear to faith, what I will do is I will send you a copy of that out, seeing this one was rather pale. I apologize for that. So that way you can have one at home to use it whenever you want. Okay, so now we're going to go to somewhere here. I got to get him out of the way.
Get him out of the way.